Ashknaj dur batuluk. Ashnaj gimbatul. Ashnaj strakatuluk. Agbezum ishi krimbatul. Dogbez ishi makakulshu darulu.
Hey everyone, I hope that evil language wasn't too frightening. Yoiston here with another re-upload of an earlier video. Today we are going to take another look at a question that is heavily debated by the fans of Tolkien's legendarium. What does the One Ring actually do? In my first video on this topic, I made a few mistakes, so I want to take another try at answering that very question. When it was created in 1600 of the Second Age, the One Ring was infused with Sauron's spirit, or Fea. Thus it was bound to him, as he was to it. That's why he wasn't completely defeated after the downfall of Numenor, or when Isildur cut the ring from the Dark Lord's hand, as the One Ring tethered Sauron inside the Walls of Night to Middle-earth. While it was around, so was he. Now, after many years of thinking about this question, what does the One Ring actually do? I believe it has different effects on different beings. The common one among men, hobbits, and likely all creatures who did not exist in the Unseen Realm is that the One Ring transports its wearer to the Unseen Realm, or Wraith World, where the Wraiths exist. If the wearer kept the One Ring on for too long, they would stay in that realm forever. Even Gollum, who had the One Ring for centuries, only wore it sometimes, which lengthened his lifespan, and seemingly only corrupted his body, but it did not make him a Wraith because he took it off sometimes. As for Sauron, he was not transported to this world. This was because he and the other Maiar existed in both realms. As for the other powerful beings, we may really only theorize what the One Ring would do to them if they wore it. I believe beings such as Gandalf or Galadriel would have been strong enough with the One Ring to be great warriors. The One Ring possibly could have helped them overthrow Sauron, and in his place, we know that the One Ring gives the power of tyranny, so they would have likely become the next Dark Lords or Ladies of Middle-earth. Even if they had the iron will to dominate the One Ring for a short time, the One Ring would win in the end. For wearers such as them, their innate skills and powers would be enhanced and magnified. A powerful user such as Sauron also had the ability to control all other 19 rings of power, and I would imagine that another being who had a similar strength could have some control over them as well. After looking into her mirror, Galadriel suggests to Frodo that it may be used to aid in telepathy and the reading of minds, and although there are moments in the books that provide some support to this, such as Sauron intervening in Frodo's head on a Munhen, this is widely unconfirmed. Concerning the rest of what we know about the One Ring, the Lord of the Rings tells us that when Frodo and Sam put on the One Ring, their inherent abilities were strengthened. Atop a Munhen, Frodo, who wore the ring, could see for many, many miles. And when Sam wore the ring near Cirith Ungol, he could hear far better, but he lacked the vision he normally had. I think this means that the power of the One could change depending on its wearer, the situation, and the setting that it was worn in. Also, while using the One Ring, Sam was able to understand black speech from the orcs, so it's possible that the One Ring adds linguistic skills as well. The ring could even deceive those around its wearer into thinking that there was a powerful or malevolent force nearby. The deception of the ring could even conjure a great form for the wearer, like Sam being an elven warrior in Cirith Ungol, or Frodo garbed in white upon Mount Doom. In these instances, the ring wasn't even being worn, it was just being held. However, it was close to Mordor, so it's likely that the power of Mordor allowed the ring to conjure these illusions. The One Ring has the ability to deceive and corrupt, not only the wearer, but those two in its proximity. Of course, those who used or owned it became attached and bound to the ring, and it continued their lives beyond normal years. However, this trinket was not an inanimate object. The ring had a mind of its own, and could change sizes at will, sometimes betraying its wielder like it did to Isildur. It also seems that the closer the ring was to Mordor, the place of its forging, the stronger and heavier it became. Other than these details which we find in the books, we may really only guess the One Ring's true power. The ring's effects definitely depend on its wielder and the situation. Here's an interesting point as well. Gollum found it after murdering his cousin, and its corruption affected him very quickly, whereas Bilbo found it by chance, and it did not villainize him nearly as fast as it did to Gollum. Let me know your thoughts about this down below. Does the One Ring work with its user's inherent evil to make its effects act faster? Let me know. To further speculate, the High Elves of Middle-earth exist in both the mortal and unseen realms, as we come to find with Glorfindel, who glowed white in the unseen world during the Fellowship of the Ring. So we are unsure what would exactly happen if a High Elf, or just a normal elf, wore it. The Valar, Maiar, and enigmas of nature like Tom Bombadil also existed in both the mortal realm and the unseen realms as well, and only some of them would likely act like Sauron had they worn the trinket. However, the ring would have had an effect on Gandalf or Sauron, but not Tom Bombadil, or likely even Goldberry. It seems that it only affects those whose fates are tied to the fate of Middle-earth, but not the whole of Arda. So this probably would not have affected the Valar like it didn't affect Tom Bombadil, but the Maiar who take place in Middle-earth's affairs would likely have been affected by the One Ring. Since we never really see powerful beings other than Sauron or Tom put on the One Ring, we can't be too sure what would happen. Ultimately, the One Ring would make the wearer stronger through their worst traits. They would become wraith-like, enhanced in potential and power, dominating both lands and people. Even Samwise Gamgee, who was pure of heart, saw the power he could have had he taken the One Ring for himself. It is a superconductor of power and greed for more. Luckily, it was destroyed on March 25th, 3019 of the Third Age, and in doing so, its Dark Master never returned to Middle-earth. Now, I made this mistake with the original, and I know that Tolkien heavily dislikes allegory. However, I do believe there's a lesson that we can learn from the One Ring. We all have our One Rings in our lives, things that drive us beyond ourselves in anger, greed, lust, and power. But at some point in our lives, we all need to confront such darkness and learn to overcome it. Otherwise, our ambitions and desires may turn us into something we don't even recognize. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button and share this with someone who you think might enjoy it. Also, let me know what you think about the One Ring and its powers in the comments down below. Or, if any of you would like to, please make a video response to this one with your thoughts about the One Ring in it. I would love to see those. If you'd like to contact me more directly, please join us on Facebook and Twitter through the links in the description below, and subscribe to join the Men of the West and all of the Free Peoples today. As always, thank you all for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one, my friends.